What's going on, you guys? So check it right. As we all know by now, Zoocci Coke Dope has been going through a battle with his current label being Stay Low. And on current State of Mind 5, he made some serious allegations against the label, stating that he didn't sign any papers or contract to partner up with Stay Low. He stated that the label and Von are basically trying to make him broke and don't like to see him getting money, which will directly affect his family. He also said that the label owns his whole catalog or publishing and he doesn't know how that happened, basically saying they faked his signature. And lastly, he doesn't understand why they're putting him through this treatment, because all he wants to simply do is not work with them. So as I said, some serious allegations from Zuchi. Now, one particular individual who works at Stay Low and is an important figure at the label is Fred Kayembe, where he's the head of strategy and ideation. Now, he made his way to Chopaneba Buddha Tea and had some very interesting things to say in regards to Zuchi's situation.
Is he Stay Low? He is, right? The venting song was about y'all.
I mean, I don't know what man, I'll be honest with you.
What do you mean? You tapped out? You don't tap.
So,
but he is one on Stay Low.
Signed to us on. So we initially started working with Issues, and he was signed to record label and management.
Mm-hmm.
And he decided that he didn't want to work with us anymore. Immediately, we released him from the management contract. But he's still signed to us under the record label.
So what's that about? Like, wait, so he decided that when? Before you guys had put out anything, or were you guys part of anything that he put out?
We put out
Self-Beat Plus.
Anxiety Plus.
Okay.
Right. We put out Self-Beat together, and sometime after that, he decided that he didn't want to work with us.
Where did that stem from?
Anymore.
Do you think? Or
I mean,
what were the conversations?
I don't want to speak about it too much because it is a legal matter. At
of course,
this stage, it is a legal matter at this stage, but. He decided that he didn't want to work with us anymore, and so we severed the management ties. But there's an entire conversation to be had as far as the investment that as a record label. I think that historically, there has been we can't pretend like corporations and record labels and macro businesses haven't exploited artists. Right?
Yeah, because they have.
This has been going on since the beginning
this
of
is
time.
the history of the game.
This has been going on since the beginning of time in the music industry and beyond. And so when as listeners, as consumers, as fans, right, we are partial to the artists. Because the artists are the ones who we have a relationship with.
Yeah, they're the ones who have our heart.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They have our hearts, they have our ears, it's like you build that connection with this person, and they work, and so their voice is quite literally a voice. It's like that's how they communicate with you.
Yeah.
Record labels and businesses, maybe for the better, don't have that. You don't build that relationship because you're
with the audience. Yeah,
you don't with the audience, right? And while there is, like I said, it's like there's a history of this that dates back to the formative years of entertainment, right? It's like it is also a very convenient narrative to jump onto. Because it's a very convenient narrative.
Yeah, because it's believable.
It's believable,
yeah.
Right? There's so much credence and credibility in this. It's like it's happened so many times in front of our eyes where artists have been exploited and taken for every last penny. And what I'm saying is that it's really important to analyze the information that we consume, right? It's like because a lot of times these accusations and this vitriol that's being spread and all these critiques is like they're telling you about how they feel, right?
Yeah, it's it's an emotional expression.
What are the facts saying though?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? What is the business saying? Do you know what I mean? It's like South Africa has a troubled past. Do you know what I'm saying? It's like we've been under an oppressive regime for a very, very long time. And it's not even that, we're not even that far away from the first democratic election. That was 1994. A lot of people who unfortunately were direct victims of that regime are still alive.
Still exist, yeah.
I think that it is irresponsible and exploitative to jump onto that because it's triggering. It's triggering to black folk, right? I'm saying what's happening now is that there's a narrative about the big white man corporation.
That's what they,
you know what I mean?
Will always be turned into.
And again, I'm not saying that doesn't happen, right? And like I said, I'm speaking for myself. These accusations that are being leveled against Stay Low, or that are being leveled against Vaughn, maybe specifically, do they consider that I run the record label?
Yeah, because you're the black man.
That's what I'm saying. I'm saying, do they consider?
There's a black man in the label.
Yeah, because I'm saying I'm not a guy in the label, right? I'm not a guy in the label. I'm saying me, Dale, Vaughn, brick and mortar founded Stay Low.
Yeah.
We were tasked to run the company. All of us have been instrumental in the strategy, in building the foundation as far as the values.
In the business.
In the business. We all sign things off. There's nothing that happens that is out of my purview, right? So what I'm saying about this very convenient narrative that is and from a consumer and audience perspective is like, I don't blame you, right? Because it's like, as soon as this very sensitive matter is likened to like, yo, look at what these people have been doing to us for 50 years, for 100 years. It's like, yo, it's a very triggering thing. So we go, here we go again. But I'm just saying that there's nothing that goes on in Stay Low that I don't know about. There's nothing that goes on in Stay Low that we don't collectively sign off. There's nothing
and
that goes
isn't
on.
above board.
Yeah, and I'm saying, like, what do I look like as a black man, right? What do I look like as a black man moving shady, right? What do I look like as somebody who's been doing this from jump, right? It's like my rap sheet is impeccable. You know what I mean? It's like
got a good rap sheet. Actually.
My rap sheet is impeccable. I've been, you know what I mean?
You've done good business.
Do you know what I mean? I challenge anybody
respectfully.
I challenge anybody to put their hands up and say, yo, this man defrauded me. You know what I mean? This man leveled, accusations against me. This man, it's like I don't do business like that, because everything I do is founded on integrity as a value. Our value system dictates everything that we do, and so. And this is not a Stay Low conversation. This is a me conversation right now.
Yeah,
and I'm saying collectively we run this label. I'm saying I came up with it. I'm saying even news, right? It's like, because that's the rapport that we had at some point. It's like I came up around the time of everybody, the Coolies and the Caspers and the Keenans and Cash Times, and in the next generation with the Nasties and the Reeses, and to this generation with the Kezes and whatever. It's like, I'm saying I challenge anybody to come forth and I'm saying that is something that is like not considered, because I'm going back to what I was saying. It's like, what are the facts saying? What is the information saying? What is the business saying? I don't want to hear about how you feel.
So we spoke on a couple of things, right? Firstly, that Zuchi was initially signed to Stay Low through the record label, as well as also having a management deal with them. But because Zuchi no longer wanted to work with the label, Stay Low released him from their management deal, but still have him signed under the label. He also mentioned that the only project Zuchi released under the label was Anxiety Plus, and he further continued by stating that he couldn't reveal much because this is a legal matter. Now, Fred brought up an important conversation topic about the label investing in an artist, and how usually in cases like these, the public tends to sympathize with the artist rather than looking at all the facts. He spoke on that labels and corporations have always exploited artists for the longest of times, and that's something he's aware of. But at the same time, we as the public, we as the fans are partial to the artist because we have a relationship with them through the music. He mentioned that the artist has a voice, and that's literally their voice they use to communicate with, whereas the label doesn't have that luxury with the audience. He also stated that a situation like this is basically a convenient narrative to jump on as a person in the public because it's believable, since so many cases like these have been documented. But it's important to analyze the information we consume, because a lot of the times these accusations are based on how the artist feels instead of looking at all the facts and hearing the side of the label whilst looking at the business side of things. Now, Fred personalized the situation, and because he's one of the key figures that stay low, he took these allegations as a personal attack. I mean, Zuchi has kind of created this narrative of Stay Low being a slave plantation, where he views himself as a slave at the label, not having any sense of freedom. And Fred understands that because in SA we've gone through our own racial struggles, and us as the public would easily sympathize with the black artist who feels oppressed by the white man being Vaughn. But Fred states that it's irresponsible and exploitative for him to paint that picture because it's triggering to us as the audience. Now, Fred wants us to consider that he's a black man, and he also runs the label as well as being one of the founders. I mean, he continued by saying that there's nothing in the label that happens without him knowing, and that it would look crazy if a black man like him was doing something shady towards another fellow black man. Now, he also challenges anyone in the industry or not to come out and state whether he's defrauded them, because he doesn't do business like that, and he moves with integrity and values. He circles back and states that people don't consider things like that, where they need to analyze what the facts are saying. What is the information saying, and what is the business saying? Because he doesn't want to hear about your feelings. I mean, he takes everything personally, and accusations like these are an indictment on his character, even though the narrative is centered around Vaughn. But in the end, he still has respect for Zoocci. Now, what I will say is that Fred does definitely present a new perspective on the situation. I mean, when I first realized that Zoocci wasn't delivering on his promises by him dropping new music, and then him dropping Current State of Mind 5, while I will admit that I did sympathize with Zuchi's situation, but now with Fred asking us to reconsider the situation, taking into account that he also runs the label alongside Vaughn, as well as him also stating that he wouldn't participate in any shady dealings against Zuchi, well then, is that reason enough for us to change the way we view this situation? Well, I will say that it's something to definitely consider. Now, Fred kept on mentioning that we need to look at the facts, which would be following what the contract says. But obviously, we don't know what is actually stipulated in the contract, but it must be binding since Zuchi is still part of the label despite wanting out. So with Fred wanting us to listen to the facts, the information, and the business, wow, would it be wrong for us to do so since the label has been able to keep Zuchi signed? I mean, to every situation, there's always three sides to the story. There's the two opposing sides, and there's the truth. And with Zuchi being a relatable artist, sympathizing with him would be the most expected and plausible outcome compared to believing the big bad label. And so maybe it wouldn't be that bad to look at the situation from a different lens. Now, it's going to be interesting to see whether Zuchi responds to these claims, because in the past, every time Vaughn had spoken on this situation, Zuchi had always come back with a response. So maybe he'll have a response for Fred as well, or maybe he has enough respect for him to not respond at all. But this is a legal matter, so there's a possibility we might not hear anything from this situation until the case is settled. But you guys, let me know your thoughts on this. Are you willing to reconsider your stance on this situation with Zuchi and Stay Low? Are you fully siding with Zuchi? Comment down below. Anyways, guys, thanks for tuning in, and I hope you enjoyed. Please make sure to hit that like button if you found the content dope, and hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. It's on to the next one. Peace.